Good morning from sacred space at Titania's realm. The time is 10:38 a.m. on the 24th of March 2025. Welcome to sacred space at Titania's realm. It's a very grey, morose looking day today, but there's sunshine behind the clouds, so it might brighten up soon. Just as I'm speaking, it's starting to filter through. So it's a lovely day, another lovely day, and here we go, babies. Another day in paradise. So I'm going to read chapter 4, Tales of the World Tree. Picture of the world tree, looking in perfect balance actually, the upper world and the lower world with the trunk forming the middle path. Mimmamitha is standing on the heather, has a green skirt on, 3 maidens attached upon. Nursery countdown rhyme from Hessen, telling about the evergreen world tree, the tree of Mimea, to whose roots are attached the 3 sisters of fate. Just have to itch my hair now. I'm going to the hairdresser tomorrow, get these roots sorted, so I'll be all freshened up. Won't that be nice? Looking forward to it. I'm very fond of my hairdresser. She's a friend as well as a hairdresser. I've been going to her since 2011, so that's 14 years too. All my kind of important relationships that came into my life, all within a year of my mother's death, have all been for that magical number of, I don't know why, but 14 years. My relationships with both bands, my hairdresser, my psychiatrist, I've been with him for over 14 years now. So it's kind of interesting. Right, let us begin. Almost all shamanistic cultures know a world tree that represents the centre of their universe and maintains the equilibrium of the cosmos. According to their cosmology, there are many kinds of world trees: oak, birch, ash, hibiscus, larch. I just need a moment here, sorry, I'm a bit distracted. Right. So I've got asthma this morning, like thunder asthma, and then attendant with that, I have this intense anxiety, as you can see, I'm all jittery and all over the place. But anyway, let me just focus and recalibrate and return to the story. Just bear with me. I know it's difficult, but I do have, quite serious, complex PTSD, and it can be difficult for me to function. Some days are more difficult than others. So I'm happy today, don't get me wrong, I'm happy and happening in a far out way, and I'm continuing with my video logs, reading these wonderful stories, but meander, meander. So let me start with that sentence again. According to their cosmology, there are many kinds of world trees. Oak, birch, ash, hibiscus, larch or pine are the most common species. To some of the Siberian peoples, in the world's connecting centre of the world was a cosmic mountain that was the link between heaven and earth. The world tree connects the different qualities of life of the three worlds, from the roots in the underworld, through the trunk in the middle world, to the crown high in the upper world. The world trees are populated by a variety of animals. In the Scandinavian folk stories, snakes or dragons live beneath its roots. Deer and wild boars rub against its bark. Birds populate its crown. From its branches hang the stars and planets. Between its roots originates the source of all knowledge. According to many peoples in the Asiatic inlands, the world tree is the domain of the shamans. In the crown are the nests in which the shamans are hatched. It is no wonder that in those populations the shamans usually travel those worlds as eagles, vultures, or ravens. The world tree is like a runway for the shaman, as well as the invisible forces, beings and spirits that use this world axis for their travels and modulations in the various worlds. In the stories of some peoples, for example, the Mapuche in Chile, the shaman climbs a ladder, which is symbolic of the world tree, and the shaman's own power to perform the spiritual ascension to and communication with the beings in the other world. A description of the world tree of the Jakuts goes like this. Its roots originate from the centre of the underworld as a housing made of 7 pillars for the beings whose mouths hang beneath their larynxes. Through its leaves, this tree communicates with heaven, the winged birds, and the yonder flying wind. The world tree is not only the information axis of the shamans, but is also the tree of knowledge, whose fruits contain the power of consciousness raising. We even have a prayer that's sung, in Hebrew. It's Chaim He, the Machazikim Be, something like that. God, I've forgotten. Dear God, so long since I've prayed in a temple. Anyway, it basically means the tree of life. Its paths are ways of righteousness, and all its paths of peace, and its sun, which is the tree of life is a little bit different to the tree of knowledge. So, oh look, I'm segueing. I don't even know what I'm talking about, honestly. Anyway, consciousness raising of the tree of knowledge. There we have it, my darlings. There we have it. In the fairy tales, the theme of the world tree emerges in the shape of a sky-high growing plant or a tree reaching into the heavens, like the story Jack and the Beanstalk, where he climbs and steals the magic beans and fights the giant. The world tree. In the time when it all came to be like it is today, south of the vast savannah, at the foot of the mighty mountain Roraima, with an altitude exceeding 1,000 yards, there lived the Tauropanos. Today they still populate this area. Was it Tauropanos? I don't know. Please forgive me, the people called Tauropanos. Can't pronounce your name correctly. But you're south of the savannah, at the foot of a mighty mountain. Sounds very nice. I'm serious. Sounds very lovely. Today they still populate this area. In the early days they were hunters and fishermen. Nowadays they have become industrious farmers, living in modern settlements. Their children go to schools where their own people teach in their own language. They tell them the fairy tale of the genesis of all things and the beginning of the world. In this very early time there lived 5 brothers. Makunaima, the youngest, was also the most cunning one and the most successful creator of all hunting animals as well. But before this, the brothers were very poor. Once Makunaima noted that a kuli, the rodent, which at that time was still a human, came home. I shouldn't laugh. I've actually met people that look like rodents. I guess I kind of look a bit like a possum, which makes sense since I used to prefer to sleep all day and be up all night. Not quite so bad about sleeping during the day now. Pulled myself together over time, but or was I like the Dormouse and the Mad Hatter's tea party, schluffing in the teapot? Sometimes I was the Mad Hatter and sometimes I was Alice. But anyway, there were long, long years when I did nothing but sleep. Kept me alive, I guess, but I missed out on a lot. 30 fucking years. Goodness. Anyway, I'm back. I'm back in my body, mind and spirit. And I'm still learning to recalibrate it all too. It's a bit astonishing at times. So bear with me, people of Earth. Former zombies that are still finding their feet, still stumble and fall occasionally. It's a process. We've made great progress in the last 5 years even. Really the last 5 years. It's been exponential growth. I'm even sometimes quite humbled to think how far I've come. But I had a lot of support and a lot of love gifted me by, all my friends, my psychiatrist, a few lovely people, very few lovely people in my neighbourhood. My remnant family in New Zealand and in Cairns, and had a lot of support. I was gifted immensely. It's probably why I'm still alive, actually. Technically, I actually shouldn't be. So there is that, but soon I will be 60, and that too is an achievement in a way. A milestone? Bloody hell. I used to have, I'm segueing, I know, sorry, but I had a palm reader tell me 30 years ago that I would live to be a very, very old lady because of this very long lifeline that curves all the way around my thumb actually. There's a couple of breaks there, so I'll probably die somewhere around there, but he said, you will live a very long life, Tanya. And I was terrified of that thought even 30 years ago because my health was even then very precarious. But at that stage I was only 30, so can you imagine? I've survived 3 strangulations and decades of trauma and struggle, and I won't mention all the other stuff that went down, and I've mentioned it in the past, but we don't want to live in that energy. But all the things I've survived, but it's taken me 30 years to fight forwards and get through it all. And I always thought maybe he's wrong about this long life. That man got that wrong. I'm going to die soon. There were a few events where I actually did die 15 times since childhood in my life. He even picked up on that. Said you had a very turbulent childhood, which I did. And very, very brilliant man. He was a brilliant psychic, that man. He was very accurate, actually. And I started to doubt him in the last 10, 20 years or so. Oh, it's all bullshit. And the only reason why I will have a long life is because of all my writing that are up on the ether and vocal media and all that energy that will get preserved potentially, unless the internet blows up or the planet blows up, will remain for eternity. So that's my long life, I thought. I thought my long life will be just a manifestation of my thoughts and dreams and processing and stories will be the long life that way. So you can imagine how humbled and amazed and quite astonished I am to be almost 60. And well, it's the 24th today, so 19 days. It's an extreme milestone, and even only 3 years ago, 2022, I was so ill with my lungs. Didn't expect to live then. So I've even outlived my own expectations in the last 3 years, and I'm getting more powerful, more spiritually powerful and innovated, but physically healthier too in many ways. There's a lot of issues that still slap me down with monotonous regularity, but overall I'm seeing an improvement there too. So it's quite miraculous, and it's occurred because, unlike in my childhood and in my 20s and even 30s and 40s, now in the last 5 years, I have been truly loved and cared for and held in with great honour and deep respect and recognition. It took that long until 5 years ago, and all because I said no to a certain something we all know happened 5 years ago. So it's astonishing and miraculous and edifying and soul nourishing and just beautiful, really beautiful. And I love you all, those of you who have worked so hard, both behind the scenes and with me, in front of the scenes, to make my life as good as it is right now, and I'm working towards making it even better if I can find a way to succeed in some way that I can provide for myself and be financially independent. That's a big ask, but that's my goal one day. By then, if I manage that, I'll be a really old lady. By the gods. Well, let's not bite off more than we can chew. Let's just be grateful and satisfied with what I have right now. Pardon me, in this moment. Beauty, creativity, life force, wonderful friends, and my walk with the gods. Right, where were we? Let's go back to the story, people of Earth. Ah, yes. Once Makunaima noted that Akuli the rodent, which at that time was still a human, came home every night satisfied, unlike the others. When Akuli was sleeping, Makunaima sneaked toward him and lifted Akuli's lip to see what he had between his teeth. And there he saw that Akuli had eaten bananas. But because there were no banana trees growing in the vicinity, Makunaima suspected Akuli had discovered the world tree, from which all fruits of the earth were growing. Bananas, mamau, akaju, oranges, and the like. I don't know what mamau and akaju are. Should we Google them, people of Earth? We need to know. I mean, people that come from that region will know exactly what's been mentioned here, but I don't. Goodness. Right, where is it? I need to get to Safari. 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 And I need to know what a mamau, how does it spell? M-A-O is. In Maori, is this meant to be Maori? It does sound a bit Maori now I come to think about it. Maybe. In Maori it means distant or distance. In Portuguese it translates to papaya or pawpaw. So I think they mean pawpaw in this context. It's also a Thai restaurant located in Melbourne, Australia. Well, there you go. Right, now, so it's pawpaw. Why don't they just say frickin' pawpaw? Honestly. But like me, they like to throw in foreign words and make things a bit exotic. I do that in my writing too. So no, it's perfectly okay, my darling, what you did there. And also you made me research it and stretch myself, open my mind, remain open, flow. Right, and we want to know what was the other one? I've lost my space. Akaju is. This will be interesting, people of Earth. Meaning. Come. Oh, it's given the. Yes, I need it in English, please. No, English. Stupid machine. Ah, here we are. It's a cashew. So mamau is pawpaw and akaju, which sounds a bit like cashew, I guess, is cashew. Right, now we know. Now we know I can calm my whā and relax. continue my I need to dance. Spirits want me to dance. Why do they want me? I don't normally dance during the week. I usually reserve it for Friday or Saturdays or whatever gig I attend, and dance in front of the bands and alongside the rest of the revellers and build energy that way, but they want me to dance. And I feel like forever to touch you, 'cause I know that you feel me somehow. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't wanna go home right now. Yes, silly Mama T, she's getting a bit silly. 60. But if truth be known, I was a bit silly when I was 6 too. Very silly at 16. No, at 16, I dressed like a 40-year-old courtesan. I was on top of the world, and I felt it was quite delusional actually, because my brain hadn't quite formed. I felt very in charge of my own self, and all potentiates flew like a ribbon, like a red road in front of me, and I felt like I could take on the world and everything was possible, and I discovered my own power. And then at 17 I met my husband, and it was a unravelling since then, really. Isn't that tragic? Had the world at my feet. Could have been anyone. Could have been anyone. But some things come down to destiny. Mama T's grown herself back. It's taken me 60 years, but I've grown myself back. I'm very proud of that. Silly that I haven't achieved much in 60 years, but I'm alive against the odds. I'm reading stories to you on YouTube, and I'm happy, and I have love in my life, and whatever form it flows to me, and I return it back out too, and it's a beautiful infinite feedback loop flowing beautifully, like a beautiful gift to and from the gods. I'm serious about that, by the way. Anyway, when a coolie ran off the next day, Makunaima ordered his brother Manapi to secretly follow him. This he did, and thus the other brothers found the world tree as well. They went there to fill their bellies. But the fruits were hanging so high from the giant tree, with its top reaching into the heavens, that they were not able to reach them. So they contented themselves with the fallen fruit lying on the ground around the trunk. But Manapi came up with the idea of just cutting down the tree in order to get to all the better fruit. A coolie who thought of everything before taking action was opposed to this and warned about the deluge it would cause. Despite all reproaches, Manapi just chopped like mad with his axe, but the blade did not penetrate into the wood. It was that hard. Before he took another stroke, Manapi laid a hand on the tree. He said, "Be soft like the mamao tree," the pawpaw tree, which is indeed soft. And the axe reached still deeper. With thundering force causing the whole earth to shake, the world tree fell to the north. That is why in the northern forests there are many good fruits, while in the south there is nothing but infertile flat land. The branches and twigs fell over the Orinoco River, resulting in many rapids and cataracts. The stump of the world tree remained upright. It is the Roraima, that mighty mountain with the virtually sheer slopes towering high above the plains. When the tree fell, as Akuli had predicted, a lot of water erupted from its trunk, inundating the land, and almost all the people drowned deplorably. That was very sad, but with the flood came many fish. After the waters receded, these fish continued to flourish in the Orinoco, that wide flow, and its tributaries. People of the Tauropanas, Venezuela, I wondered where they were, Venezuela, adapted from Karl Kauter unter dem Weltenbaum, which means under the world tree, used by kind permission. The next story is called The Miracle Tree. Once there lived a farmer who had 3 sons, the youngest of which was the dumbest as well. Oh dear goddess. It's a cruel fate when you have unintelligent children. I mean, it's not their fault. They can't help it, but I must admit I was grateful that both my daughters were quite bright. It was bad enough dealing with their father, who was not bright at all, but shrewd and cunning and ruthless, dull intellect psychopath. Can you imagine what that was like for me, living with someone like that? Awful it was. But I stayed in that marriage too long because I wanted my children to maintain our home and relative wealth, and in the end had no choice but to walk away. It is what it is, people of earth. Je ne regrette rien. But I regret the damage that was done to myself and my children. I really do. That I regret. But there was nothing else I could have done. Anyway, everything he started was doomed to fail, and everything he took in his hands, he dropped. He was really very dumb. That's why everybody called him Dumb Hans, which in German would be Doof Hans. Anyway. One day, all of a sudden, a strange tree grew out of the earth in the middle of the village square. Nobody had planted a seed there. Nobody had ever seen such a tree. The people in the village marvelled at the tree that had grown there in just one night. But they wondered even more when they saw that in only a few days the tree had grown as high as the church tower. After a few weeks, its crown had grown out of sight into the clouds. Everybody was curious where a person would end up if he or she should climb up into the tree, but no one dared. Soon the news about this peculiar tree reached the king's daughter. She came with her whole entourage to admire this tree. And Because she was the king's daughter, she was entitled to a special wish. She wished to see the tree's fruit. She promised a great reward for the one who would be willing to travel all the way up to get the fruit for her. Many volunteered immediately, but none of the courageous young men succeeded in climbing the tree. After at best 3 days, they all fell off. Some of them did not even return at all. This frightened everyone and discouraged many young men from trying it themselves. Both of Dumb Hans's clever brothers tried their luck with the tree, but they met the same fate as the ones before them. After 3 days, they fell from the tree like ripe fruit. Then Hans also signed up to try climbing the tree. Everybody mocked him, but he did not let himself be flustered. He took along 12 pairs of wooden shoes, foodstuffs, and a lead mattock, and started his climb. Now the people began waiting impatiently for him to fall down from the tree like the others. Within 3 days at best. But after 3 days, only a pair of wooden shoes fell down, all worn out, with holes in them. Later, because other wooden shoes fell with greater force, they guessed Hans was still climbing into the tree. And so he did. When Hans had climbed for several days and looked for a proper place to sleep for the night, he discovered an opening in the tree with a light shimmering inside. An ugly old woman was sitting there, who all the same greeted him in a friendly manner. She offered him an evening soup and a place to sleep. When Hans asked her how far he had to go to the top of the tree, she said, "Ah, my dear boy, you still have a way ahead of you. I am only Monday. Then you need to pass Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. When you have passed them, you will see what is next." So the next morning Hans got ready to continue his journey. Once more he climbed a few days until he came to a second opening. In this hole lived an old woman who was even uglier than the Monday woman, and she presented herself as Tuesday. Hans was scared by her appearance, but the old one kindly offered him an evening soup and a place to sleep, so he was not afraid any more. The next morning, when he wanted to continue his climb, the old woman warned him about Wednesday. Wednesday was an ugly man who could not bear the sight of human flesh. Hans thanked her and went unseen past Wednesday. Many days and weeks he climbed, until he also had managed to get beyond the openings where Thursday, Friday, and Saturday were living. These ugly old men were pretty hospitable to him, but when he had gotten past the Saturday opening, he did not have the will or strength left to climb any further. All his wooden shoes had worn out, so he had to climb bareback. His lead mattock, which had provided a solid grip in hacking his way up, had become blunt. But because he now already had come so far, his head in the clouds and the earth out of sight, there was really no other choice than to continue his journey. Then he reached a stone wall fused into the tree trunk. When he looked more carefully, he saw a small door in the wall. He opened the door and stepped into a big meadow. Stupefied by the intense climb, he dropped down and fell asleep at once. When he woke up, in front of him he beheld a big city of gold. Above the city was such a strong light, his eyes could not bear the brightness of the floodlight. Next to him he saw his mattock, which instead of the wooden handle now had a gold one. He looked around, and high above he saw the top of the tree that he had been climbing. Golden fruit shone between the leaves. Beneath the foliage, many animals were cavorting, all made of pure gold. This must be heaven, Hans thought, and he decided to stay there. Many say that he climbed back to earth and told everything he had experienced and seen. Fairy tale from Austria. But that was a short chapter. Let's see how long chapter 5 is, whether I continue, because if it's very long, no, that's relatively short too. Right, I think we can manage it, people are there. Chapter 5, Tales of Metamorphosis and Transformation, which I've gone through an very intense metamorphosis that kind of began maybe a bit before then, but round about that time frame when Sybil Serpent moved into my back garden near my back door. That was on October 31st, and she lived here till 11th of November, Remembrance Day, 12 days. And I've gone through an intense journey the last 6 months. It's been astonishing, actually. Lots of woundings and attacks and death of Charlie, and lots of grieving and processing and trauma processing. Well, I always do trauma processing. I'm always working, trying to shed the past and work through old stuff and create my wonderful life, how I want it to be, with harm to none and competition with none, but for all of our most beneficial outcomes, but also for me too, to thrive and be joyous and carefree and be loved. It's a work in progress, people, there. It's a beautiful metamorphosis. Painful at times though, very painful. I'm wondering how long I'll have to live in this pain body, and when the gods will just lift it off me like a beautiful cloak and let it just fall away and bring me free into my wondrous life with my beautiful man by my side and my tribe, my community, my like-minded souls. And when will that happen, people? There, it's starting to happen. The potentiates are there. So I just need to believe and receive and accept with grace and keep journeying, keep fighting forwards and keep moving through life. I think from 60 on, my life's going to really balance out quite markedly. I just was kind of told that by that palm reader many years ago, but I just think, the getting of wisdom and being comfortable in your own skin and finding that peace and equilibrium, I think that will be a great spiritual wealth to me and ennoblement and help me to achieve my goals perhaps. Maybe. If I survive much longer on this planet, it's all in the lap of the gods. I don't pretend to know any better than anyone else where I will be in 5 or 10, even 20 years. Heavens, that would make me 80. I don't think I'll live to 80, but I didn't think I'd live till 60 either. So you just don't know, do you? Anyway, instead of worrying about how much time I have here on planet Earth, we carry on with our stories and enjoy each day as the most wondrous gift, and let it unwrap and hold it up to the light and say, here we are, babies, strutting our stuff every day and every way. So, Chapter 5, Metamorphosis and Transformation, has a little picture of what looks like a little raven of some kind of bird, and a poem, which I shall read to you now. In the beginning of times, there was no distinction between man and animal. All creatures lived on earth. A human could, when he wished so, change into an animal, and an animal could be a human being. There was no difference. The creatures were once animals, then again humans. All spoke the same language. In those days, words were magic, and the mind had mysterious powers. Words are still magic, by the way. Not so much the words themselves, but the intention and the energy you put into them. So make your intentions powerful and loving and positive and beautiful, and choose your words wisely. A casually spoken word could have odd results. It suddenly became a living thing, and the wishes were realized. It sufficed to utter them. One cannot explain this. It just was. From the tradition of the Arctic people of the Netsulik. Change and metamorphosis as processes of inner growth are the central theme in becoming human, and thus also a central element in the worldview of shamanism. Some of the oldest evidence and pictures of human creativity reveals animal-human beings, such as the 32,000-year-old lion man from a cave in the Swabian Alps. I wonder where Swabian Alps is. I need to know this. I suspect it's somewhere in Switzerland, but I'm not sure. So I need to know this. Swabian Alps. Things I still don't know at 60 years of age is kind of ridiculous. A mountain range in Germany, so Schwabian. Right. A mountain range in Baden-Württemberg, Germany, extending 220 kilometers from southwest to northeast and 40 to 70 kilometers in width. It is named after the region of Swabia. It is part of the table Jura. See also Black Forest. The area is bordered by the Black Forest, which is called Schwarzwald. It's where my grandfather went to recuperate from TB at one time in wartime Germany. The area is bordered by the Black Forest in the southwest, by Stuttgart in the northwest, Bavaria in the east, and the Danube in the south. Well, there you go. I'd never heard of that before, and I'm half German, so oops. Anyway, it's a bit disgraceful what I don't know, but there are many things I do know that are equally astonishing. So you've got to take the good with the bad, people of Earth. Right, where were we? A lion man from a cave in the Swabian Alps. This ivory sculpture expresses our ancestors' knowledge concerning the ability to cross the line between humans and animals, the exchange of information and energies without holding on to one shape of appearance. Every metamorphosis is a journey beyond one's own limitations, even though it is a limitation of the external appearance or the limitation of the ordinary, habitual frameworks of perception or behaviour. Here also, shamanism is expressed as a science of experience, the understanding of other life forms and interrelations in life. Pardon me. Oh, goodness. It is not possible through images or belief. It is only possible through experience, indeed. These possibilities of change and metamorphosis of life situations by means of shamanistic rituals and techniques are numerous, even today. It is possible for all humans, not only shamans, to have a trance experience and going through a mind-expanding shamanistic ritual experience non-human states of being. This experience occurs with a joining of all the senses. It is an experience of recognition of the many facets and the coherence of all life forms. The experience of the diversity of realities can bring a profound change and expansion of one's inner space, an experience that will no longer be limited to a reality of things that can be adapted, measured, weighed, and photographed. The magic gift of the animals. There once lived a young Mapuche, the son of a well-to-do man. One day he put on his best clothes, mounted his horse, and rode off to get to know the world. On his way, after a while, he met an old penniless man. Since they were going the same way, they struck up a conversation. "Where are you going?" the young man asked the old man. "I am looking for work. You too?" "Yes, me too." "You, with your fancy clothes and your horse, will obviously do better than I to find a job. Who will ever take someone in rags like me?" "But I do not want to do better just because I have fancy clothes and a horse," answered the young man. "You know what? We will make an exchange. I will put on your rags, and you will take my horse and my fancy clothes." The poor one was very delighted with this proposal. So they swapped their clothes, and both went their separate ways. Eventually the young man came to a forest. When he had walked for a while through this woodland, he came across a lot of different animals who had gathered in a clearing to wait for him. Many kinds of birds were sitting in the trees. Pumas and other big felines lay peacefully next to foxes, skunks, ants, and other creatures, big and small. When the youth stood among the animals, a big puma stood up and spoke. "You acted honourably when you offered your possessions to the poor man, but without possessions, life will not be easy for you. First of all, you must learn to adapt to all circumstances you encounter. Because you have acted so nobly, we want to help you with this." "I'm thankful for your kind offer, but I really think I will manage in life," answered the young man. "All right then, but let us endow you with magical powers," the puma said, and turned to the other animals. They now collected special plants, roots, leaves, and fruits. With these they prepared an amulet that the puma handed over to the young man. "Whatever you live through," he said, "whether you get extorted by the rich or bandits want you dead, they will all fail, because with the help of this amulet, you can take on any form you like, and you will be able to do things that are otherwise impossible. If you wish to travel quickly as a horse, or become small as an ant, or sink deeply into the earth like a worm, you can." Having said this, the puma left, and the other animals followed him. Confident and pleased with the animal's gift, the young man continued his walk. Excuse me. I'm getting a bit cold, so I'll just moderate that. Just deal with that ever so slightly. After a while he became curious if this amulet really would work, so he decided to put the magic to the test. "I now wish to be an ant," he spoke, and on the spot he was changed into an ant. "I wish to walk twice as fast as a horse." To his great joy, he managed to do that as well. He had been walking for a long time when he arrived at a volcano. He climbed to the top, and there, high on the mountain, he came upon the cave of a cheruve, a mighty demon who created the weather and made mountains quake. Before the entrance of the cave, there stood the cheruve's servant. Fearlessly the young man approached him and asked, "Say, do you have a job for me here?" The old servant lashed out at him. "With us, There is nothing to do for folks like you. Get yourself out of here. You are lucky that the Chiruva is still sleeping, but if he wakes up, he will kill you." Despite this warning, the young man came closer to the entrance of the cave and saw there a most beautiful girl. Who doesn't like looking at a beautiful girl? Even me as a woman sometimes admire other women's beauty too. There's no harm in that. She was so beautiful that just by looking at her, he instantly felt deeply for her. But the Chiruva's snoring sounded so thunderous and frightening that the young man hurried back down the mountain. While he was travelling the land, he could not help thinking about the girl. One day he came to a village and saw there, in the shade of a house, a girl who really was the spitting image of the beauty from the cave. "I would like to be a bird now," whispered the boy, and he flew up and sat down next to the girl. "Oh, what a wonderful bird!" she exclaimed delightedly, caught him easily, and put him in a little cage. At night, when the girl was sleeping, the young man wished, "Now I want to be an ant." Immediately he was an ant and crawled through the bars of the cage. Hardly was he out of the cage when he took on his human form again and walked toward the sleeping girl. For a long time he stood there watching her, but then she woke up and noticed there was somebody in the room. "Who is there?" she called anxiously and turned on the light. But she could not see anyone because the young man had changed back into an ant. "I must have been mistaken," she thought, and went back to sleep. She had almost fallen asleep again when the young man once again excuse me, stood at her bed and wanted to sleep with her. She felt his presence, and in fear she sat straight up. "There is someone here with me," she shouted. The other family members came, turned on the lights and searched the whole place, but could not find anyone in her bedroom. "Well, it is hard to find an ant beneath the bed." They shook their heads and left. "The next time I will speak to him," said the girl to herself. And there was the young man again with her, and this time they talked. "Who are you really?" she asked. "I am the one you caught earlier today," was his answer. "But who are you really? A man or a ghost?" I'm not too concerned about it, but I am definitely having, it's been going on for about a month now. Yeah, it's about a month. Either a human living person bilocating late at night that climbs onto the bed with me, or an animal spirit. Sometimes it feels more like an animal. It's like 3 pounces, like 1, 2, 3 on the right side of my bed, which I very rarely lie on the right side of my bed. I have a queen size bed, but for whatever reason I always stay on the left hand side of it. Need a new mattress too, by the way. It's another expense. I'm going to have to find money to acquire a new mattress, but I'm sort of living with it for now. But I bought that bed and mattress with my small inheritance September 2012. So it would have been about October, November 2012. So it's 12 years old. It's time to update it. Not the bed. The bed's fine, but definitely need a new mattress. But anyway, I'm segueing. But this energy, usually it's just as I climb into bed myself and I put my CPAP mask on, I lie there and, talk to God a little bit, or talk to the angels a little bit, or muse over my day, or if I've been out dancing, I muse over the activities and people I've met and encounters and lovely things that happen or funny things that happen, and I just prepare to drift to sleep. And I'm not asleep yet when this entity leaps onto my bed. A couple of times it's actually felt like a human man get into bed beside me and just roll over and kind of look at me. But last night it wasn't a human man's energy, it was just something pouncing on the bed, like it possibly could even be Charlie's spirit. She never went into my bed, I never took her into my bedroom. Or maybe on one occasion only. She was hanging out with me and the cats in Beauregard. But anyway, it's a bit unusual. It's not threatening, otherwise I'd exercise the fuck out of this house. But it's just kind of happening on a regular basis. But on a few occasions I've thought, is this a human living person bilocating and wanting to get into bed with me, which is a very serious magical boundary violation. So I'm kind of keeping tabs on that. Because if I find out who it is, it won't be pretty, people of Earth, because it's not okay to enter my bedroom without my express consent, physical or spiritual beings included. Like boundaries, people. Boundaries. Anyway, as I said, it's not been threatening. There's been no attempts to, engage with me in a sexual, physical way. Thank the goddess, that I really would have freaked out then, but it's just someone kind of observing me. It's someone that, this is what I think it is, alright? I think it's someone that is a little bit kind of obsessed with me, that just sends their energy signature, just kind of making sure that I'm okay. But the timing is interesting because it happens, doesn't matter what time of night I go to bed, but it happens just before I drift off to sleep. So it's possible it's just a manifestation of my own spirit externalizing, and which if I'm doing that to myself, that's also weird. Anyway, I'm trying to work it out, people of Earth. It could be fairy too, because I have fairy here under the literally designated this Titania's realm. Could be fairy. Well, whoever it is, they're kind of guarding me, like they're not violating me as in trying anything sexual or inappropriate. They kind of just roll over and watch me as I drift off to sleep. And I did have a Meduan friend, and he lived in Indiana in the US, that used to send his energy signature to me back in 2012. So I've wondered actually if he's passed on. I hope not. He wasn't that much older than me. But it's possible that he's passed on and it's him that's been visiting for the past month. But he actually sent his wolf totem to me at one time. So if it were him, I would expect to see his wolf as a symbol that I would know it was him, right? So it's a bit unusual. But yeah, the pouncing on the bed that happened again last night was like ding, ding, ding. Felt like how a rabbit skips across. like a small animal. Then a few nights ago, I wondered if it was a minor earth tremor because it was kind of more of a shaking on the bed, like being shaken. Not severely shaken, but just a little bit of a jolt. So I don't know what's going on with me, people of Earth. I don't know whether I should do a full-blown exorcism or just ignore it. Because it's, like I said, it's not being harmful. And I'm getting better. I did have kind of a breakdown last week. My hair was lank and oily, and I was really kind of struggling. But I can see physically I'm better because how do I know? My hair, it's I washed it yesterday and it's not too oily. It's starting to go a little bit, but a week ago it was just every day, which was a sign that I was not well physically as well as mentally, I guess. So it's amazing how my hair acts like a kind of a warning system when I'm not travelling well. So anyway, just thinking out loud on YouTube in front of my whole audience of subscribers, trying to work out who's coming to visit me at night to check on me, make sure I'm safe and comfortable. And so usually when they come now, that entity comes, I just say the Jewish Shema, affirming the oneness of God and for protection, and they usually just kind of drift off. Right? No harm, no foul, but just dissipate. So it's how I know they're not a negative demonic evil force, because it would fight me and I'd be in full-blown spiritual fucking warfare. So I'm grateful that I'm not living in that consciousness anymore, because I've been through that before in the past and it's very debilitating, very dangerous actually. So I'm just keeping tabs on it at the moment. Beautiful dragonfly flying past my window. Right. Someone just said, from your lips to God's ears, because dragonflies are totem also of messages from the gods and transformation. Right, where am I? Where were we when I segued? Right. So she asks the man, "Are you a man or a ghost?" "I am a human," he said. Then she allowed him to sleep with her because she too had fallen in love. The night passed quickly for them. When the morning came, the youth said, "I have been up there on top of the volcano with the Cheruva. In his cave I saw a girl who looks exactly like you. A while ago a Cheruva kidnapped my sister," she answered. "We have been very sad about that, and were looking all over for her, but could not find her." "I will free her from the claws of the monster," promised the young man. Immediately he got up and went on his way to the mountain. Hardly had he left the village when he morphed into a falcon and flew to the Cheruva's cave. There he became human again and walked to the guard, who leaned against the cave entrance. Just as he did in his first visit, the young man asked for a job. "I told you before," fumed the old one, "there is no work for you here. And if you do not immediately get out of here, the Cheruva will beat you to death." "Let me through to the Cheruva," demanded the boy as he tried to push the old one away from the entrance. It came to a scuffle, and the guard got the worst of it. In the cave, the young man found the Cheruva sleeping. He snored so loudly that the earth was shaking. But the young man was not Oh, I've got hiccups now. Oh dear God, it's constant, isn't it? But the young man was not afraid of him any more. He approached the monster and killed him with one single strike of his sword. Then he went to the girl, who had fearfully crouched into the very back part of the cave. "Quickly, come along," he said. He changed himself into a puma, took the girl on his back and hurried by leaps and bounds back to the village where the girl's sister awaited them. From then on he kept his human figure and lived with both fair ladies until he died. Chile, people of the Mapuche. The Spaniards named these people Araucans, but they call themselves Mapuche, people of the earth. Mapu, earth, che, human. The Mapuche consist of several related but not identical groups. In the Cordillera, the high mountains of Chile, live the Pehuenche. In the valleys of Valdivia and on the island of Chiloé live the Huilliche. On the coast live the sea people, the Lafquenche. Shamanism is an established element of the spiritual life of the Mapuche and is mainly practiced by women, the Machis. During the dictatorship of Pinochet, who wanted to extinguish the original population of Chile, thousands of Mapuche were murdered. So there's just an odd car across the road. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'll find no key, no circus. The Red Finch Man. Don't know why, but I'm kind of drawing today. It's unusual, isn't it? The Red Finch Man. A long time ago, there once lived a man and a woman. They had grown old together in love and peace. But even when they were old, they regretted so much that they did not have any children. One morning the man went into the woods to chop wood like he did every morning. But this morning was an extraordinary one. When the man put his axe with one giant stroke into a beech tree. Oh, it's a driving school. Odd. Anyway, the trunk split open and he went right through the nest that was inside the trunk. Out of the split nest, a beautiful red finch jumped toward the man. Deftly the man caught the bird with the clear red breast and took it to his wife. She was very glad to have the little bird's company and fed it right away. And how flabbergasted both old ones were when, before their eyes, the little red finch transformed into a young, beautiful man with red hair. Oh, I do love bright red hair, genuine Titian red hair. Beautiful, especially when it shines gold in the sun. I was born with bright red Titian hair, but it fell out when I was 3 months old, and I was bald until I was about 9 months old, and then came back really white peroxide blonde, platinum blonde, and remained that way till I was 11, then went this weird mousy brown colour, and now I'm grey. Ah, metamorphosis. It's a thing, people of Earth. You have to laugh. They were overjoyed now that they finally had a son, but he grew up to be an adult so fast that soon he longed for a woman. His foster parents had no other choice than to quickly fixing him up with a wife. Now not only did they have a son, but a daughter-in-law as well. She had been told about the transformation of her husband from red finch into a man. She loved her husband very much and was concerned that he might leave her to become a red finch again. That is why, one day, she took her husband's feather gown and threw it into the fireplace. The moment the flames consumed the feather gown, the birdman turned red from head to toe, and with one big jump he disappeared from the house. The young woman did not wail and cry for long, for she just wanted her husband back. So she left home and wandered about for many days until one night, deep in the forest, she came to a lonesome hut. A very old woman squatted there in the hut and greeted the wife with the words, "I did not call you and did not invite you, but since you are here, come, sit with me, eat and drink, and tell me then why you are travelling this way." The young woman sat down, drank and ate. Then she told the old woman about her agony. "I am looking for my husband, the red finch man. Have you seen him?" "No," said the old one. "I know nothing, because I do not go out much. But my husband, he goes everywhere. Maybe he knows something. He will return home soon. Go lie down here in this dark corner under a blanket, so he will not see you." This she did, and when it was very dark the old man came home. He groaned under the burden of an elk which he dragged behind him. It was supper for him and his wife. The old one threw the elk on the floor of the hut, grabbed a knife and said, "Knife, kill this elk." Then the knife jumped out of the old man's hand, killed the beast and cut it into pieces. The old man yelled, "Knife, put the meat on the fire." And the knife put the elk on the fire. In an instant the meat was done. The old folks ate and went to bed. While they lay there, the old woman asked her husband, "Say, old one, you see the world, while I am only sitting in the hut. Haven't you seen a man called Red Finch somewhere?" The old man became so furious about this question that he seized his wife and put her in front of the door. He himself got ready and left. Then the young woman also made sure she left the place. She walked until she came again to another lonely hut in which sat another old woman. "I did not call you and did not invite you, but as long as you are here, come, sit with me, eat and drink, and tell me then why you are travelling this way." The young woman sat down, drank and ate. Then she told the old woman about her agony. "I am looking for my husband, the red finch man. Have you seen him?" "No," said the old one. I know nothing because I do not go out much. But my husband, he goes everywhere. Maybe he knows something. He will return home soon. Go lie down here in this dark corner under a blanket, so he will not see you. This she did, and when it was very dark the old man came home. But it was the same old man, because he had many wives. Again he dragged an elk into the hut. Again he put the knife at work to kill the elk and to cook it. Both old people ate and went to bed. While they lay there, the old woman asked her husband, "Say, old man, you see the world while I am only sitting in the hut. Haven't you seen a man called Red Finch somewhere?" The old one became so furious about this question that he muzzled his wife, and then they went to sleep. So again the woman did not learn anything about her husband. In the morning she left the cabin and went on her way again. For a long while, she wandered about until at night she came to a lonely hut. In this third hut also sat an old woman. "I did not call you and did not invite you, but as long as you are still here, come, sit with me, eat and drink, and tell me why you are travelling this way." The young woman sat down, drank and ate. Then she told the old woman about her agony. "I am looking for my husband, the Red Finch man. Have you seen him?" "No," said the old one. "I know nothing, because I do not go out much. But my husband, he goes everywhere. Maybe he knows something. He will return home soon. Go lie down here in this dark corner under a blanket, so he will not see you." Personally, I would have started freaking out by this stage. I probably would have freaked out the first time she told me to hide so he didn't see me, but I'm a little bit more circumspect from trauma than most other people. Anyway, this she did, and when it was very dark, the old man came home. But it was the same old man, because he had 3 wives. Again he dragged an elk into the hut. Again he put the knife at work to kill the elk and to cook it. It's a lot of elks, isn't it? Trying to work it out, people of Earth. Suspend belief. It's a fairy story. Both oldies ate and went to bed. While they lay there, the old woman asked her husband, "Say, old one, you see the world while I am only sitting in the hut. Haven't you seen a man called Red Finch somewhere?" "I know him. I often pay him a visit." "If you visit him, you must also know the way." "Well, wife, that is easy. First I scratch the mud from the soles of my boots and scatter the scraped dirt before me. When I stand at the edge of the big swamp, this will dry up the swamp and I can go with dry feet to the hut in the middle of the swamp. With a hair from my beard, I open the lock on the door, and then there lives the Red Finch man." Both women waited until the old man had gone to sleep. Then they scratched some dirt from the soles of his boots and cut off a few hairs from his beard. Early in the morning, before both old ones woke up, the young woman left the hut with the scraped mud and the old man's beard hair. Soon she stood at the edge of a big swamp. There she scattered the dry mud from the old man's boots, and instantly the swamp dried up. Quickly, with her heart beating rapidly, she took a beard hair and opened the door with it. Inside the hut strolled a young crane. "When will the red finch come home?" asked the woman. "Soon," answered the crane. The woman hid behind the brick hearth, and soon the door opened, and her husband, the red finch, entered. He sat down at the fireplace, brought out a zither and began playing. While he was playing, memories of his wife came up, and a string on his zither broke. The red finch man took out a dormer and played on that. During his playing, thoughts about his wife came up, and a string on his dormer broke. "Ah," sighed the man, "little zither, little dormer, you have seen my dear wife. Now I do not have her any more, and neither do you." Then the red finch man took out his harp, and during his playing he thought about his wife, and the harp string broke too. Filled with grief and distress, the young man got up and just wanted to rush out of the hut when his wife jumped out from behind the fireplace. They immediately embraced and kissed each other. They took each other by the hand and did not let go until they stood before their old parents. Story from Shamanic tribes, Siberia. The magical doctor. I have a magical doctor, my psychiatrist. He's quite wonderful. Oh, he really is. He's been a wonderful, wonderful human being to me for 14 years in therapy. It's quite amazing. To you, my wonderful doctor. Long ago, when there were still mighty magicians among our people, there lived a magical doctor named Makana. He mastered all the knowledge and skills of the shamans, but he was especially good at the art of shape-shifting. Don't try that at home, Brian. Oh, I better be careful. Maybe he does. No, I'm joking. But he is a wonderful doctor. He'll be laughing right now because he knows my weird sense of humour. He also was able to lift himself up into the air and fly above the trees, but no one was as good at metamorphosis as Makana. Whenever he wanted, he could take the shape of any animal. One day he took the shape of a deer. He was tired of living alone like he did, so he wanted to look for the right female partner. This is what he did. When he had become a deer, he let his own flesh rot away and waited until the vultures came to throw themselves at the rotten meat, which was their favourite food. When he realised that his future wife would not be found among them, he shook his body a few times so violently that all the vultures, scared out of their wits, let go of him and flew away. Barely were they gone when from high in the sky came down the most beautiful of all vultures. She, the queen of vultures, landed next to Makana. Now he had found his companion, and they lived many years together in happiness. The only thing that bothered him was that she had so many lice. But he was such a clever magical doctor that he managed to prepare a soap that freed his wife of the lice after just a few washings. After a few years, the woman got homesick and wanted to see her mother again. She asked Makana permission to go fly to the high heavens. He consented to visiting her mother and wanted to accompany her. Akatu, or Akathu, the mother of the vulture queen, was so happy when she saw her daughter again, accompanied by such a mighty miracle doctor. Akathu lay in her hammock. She lay there always. None of her people had ever seen her face. She wanted to see if her son-in-law really was such a mighty shaman, so she ordered him to construct a stool in the shape of her head. How could he ever make that happen when nobody was able to see her head in the hammock? Then Makana called the red ants and ordered them to creep into the hammock. Thousands of red ants crawled into the hammock and tormented Akathu with their bites. Makana hid behind a tree and saw for one moment how Akathu jumped out of the hammock. He saw that she had not just one head, but a dozen. He made the stool in exactly the shape of her heads. Akathu was very satisfied with his work. "You really are one especially bright and appropriate man indeed," she exclaimed out loud. Now she wanted to see more of his skills. She sent him on a fishing trip. Very soon Makana returned from angling, holding only a faggot with leaves wrapped around the caught fish. He handed them over to his mother-in-law, who immediately threw them away forcefully. "How dare you offer me such small fish?" she yelled. But she did not know that he mastered the magic to make things smaller. When the small fish touched the ground, they changed into giant fish, enough food for all the neighbours. When, after this good food, a new day dawned, Akathu said to her son-in-law, "I am thirsty. Get me a basketful of water from the river." Even for Makana that was a hard chore. He tried in vain to scoop the water from the river into the basket, but it did not stay in. Then an ant came to his aid. "What are you doing there?" she asked him. "I have to scoop water into this basket and bring it to my mother-in-law, but the water does not remain in there." "Don't worry, I will help you," said the ant. She helped him, and now the water remained in the basket. When he carried the basket filled with water to Akathu, she was utterly surprised. I don't know why I'm so itchy today. It's odd. "Really," she said, "you are one of a kind." One of a kind. Babies. This was what she said, but in her heart she was afraid of the magical doctor's capabilities. So she convened her children and deliberated with them, excluding her daughter, the magical doctor's wife. She decided to kill Makana when he was taking his afternoon nap in the garden. But among the children there was one who felt sorry for Makana. The children told him about Akatu's plan. "Run away quickly," said the child. "Akatu or Kathu wants to kill you." But Makana did not want to flee like a coward. So he relied on his magical skills and thought about a way to foil this murder plan. I've got a craving for hot chips. Oh dear goddess. That's why I'm fat, people. We're always craving the worst possible bloody food. But I had chips about 4 or 5 nights ago and oh my goddess, they were delicious. I thoroughly enjoyed them. Metro chicken down at Holland Park there in Logan Road, down that way. Oh, anyway, very nice food there and very nice people. They're I think they're Thai people that own that little takeaway. Very kind people, always very kind to me. And the food is really yummy. But I can't eat it too often because fried food. I don't have a gallbladder. It can make me a bit ill actually, but it's my own stupid fault for eating it. It's not the food, it's not their cooking, it's my body rebels. But the chips were so good. I devoured them with almost ecstasy. And I felt I could go down there again right now and get some more, but I won't. I've got to try and eat healthier, people, so I can live to this ridiculously absurdist old age and become whatever it is I'm destined to become. Like always, the next afternoon, he lay down in the shadow of the trees and pretended to sleep. At the same time, Akatu and her children filled up all the crevices in the wall around the garden. Then they came to murder him. But although they looked for him everywhere, Makana was not to be found. In the garden, his habit of playing the flute had saved his life. He had pushed the flute through a small hole in the wall, so the finger holes of the flute were on the outside. He shape-shifted into a fly and slipped through the flute to the outside. His murderers, who were still looking for him, heard him play on his flute in front of the garden. There he grew some wings and flew back to earth, where his vulture wife was already waiting for him. Never again did they visit his wife's mother. People of the Arawake. A woodpecker in human form. A young man named Wandering Falcon took off for a long journey, during which he encountered many peculiar things. One evening, he found a place to stay for the night. He put his tent up, he cut down a few small spruces from which he built a wind screen. In the tent he formed the branches into a mattress, and then he collected wood to make a big fire. He shot a few snow pheasants for his dinner, sat down at the fire and fried the pheasants on a spit over the flames. When he looked up from the flames, he saw a man standing in front of his tent. Glad with the prospect of some company, Wandering Falcon said, "I thought I had to spend the night on my own. Hello, come in and let us eat together." The man entered the tent, but he was a very strange man. He did not utter a word of greeting or thanks, and was looking very unfriendly. His eyes always looked past where they were aimed, and he could not look Wandering Falcon straight into the eyes. But Wandering Falcon stood by his invitation and offered the strange man his food. So they both ate in silence. Soon Wandering Falcon became annoyed by so much unfriendliness and silence. Furiously, he jumped over the fire, grabbed the silent man by the throat, and held him above the flaring flames so that a tip of the man's fur coat scorched. Then he threw him high over the wind screen into the snow. Wandering Falcon listened for any angry reaction outside in the dark, but all he was able to hear in the still of the night was a tapping sound, like someone knocking at the trunk of a tree. Shortly afterward, a woodpecker flitted up and flew away. It was then that he realized that a woodpecker in human form had been his guest. People of the Inuit, Alaska. Right, we'll finish there. We're up to chapter 6, which I will read, no doubt, tomorrow, 6 and 7, possibly. How long does it go for? Possibly 8 as well. And that's a journey, shamanic journey for tomorrow, my wonderful, gorgeous YouTube subscribers and audience. And as usual, many blessings from Titania's realm, sacred space, from my heart, mind, body and soul to yours. Have a beautiful day wherever you are in the space-time continuum. Stay happy, stay wild, stay free. If you're not free, which most of us on planet Earth are not truly free, be as carefree as you possibly can be, light of heart and wild of spirit. Hold your line if you need to be holding a line. You know what I speak of. And follow the sunshine like the sunflower, turning always towards the sun. Grow and become the best version of yourselves each and every day, in each and every way, with harm to none and competition with none. So it is done. Bye for now. God is bless.